Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to talk all about emergency funds, which is one of the most important aspects of personal finance. In a nutshell, all this means is having some money put to one side should you ever fall on hard times. Having a strong emergency fund will be the foundation on which we will build a successful financial future. Hi, I'm Tom and welcome to my channel where we focus on all things related to personal finance delivered from a UK perspective. If you're new here and you're interested in joining me on a journey to improving your personal finances, then make sure you click subscribe and turn on notifications. People have all sorts of different names for their emergency funds, but no matter what we each call them, they're there for one thing. It's an amount of cash that we have easy access to should we ever need it in an emergency. This sounds like a simple concept, but having this easy to access liquid money has far-reaching consequences for our financial well-being. In this video, we're going to cover what an emergency fund is for, who should have an emergency fund, how much to have in your fund, where to keep it, and when to start building one. So let's start off with the basics. What exactly is an emergency fund? Well, it's a pot of cash that we can easily access in a time of need. For example, if you were to unexpectedly lose your job, having a healthy emergency fund would help you cover your living expenses without having to take out a loan or expensive credit cards. So it acts like a safety net. Now, normally when talking about savings, I would usually recommend trying to get the highest amount of interest possible on our money. And usually having money in a savings account gives a lot less interest in investing in stocks, property or gold. However, the difference between an emergency fund and other long-term savings is that the money needs to be instantly accessible at any time, which the previously mentioned investments don't allow. So in this case, we care more about being able to access our money easily and instantly rather than getting the highest possible level of interest on our money. If you watched my previous video about setting goals, then you'll remember I mentioned the fantastic flowchart that's on the UK Personal Finance subreddit. It's a fantastic resource because it shows you how to improve your finances in a logical, step-by-step way that's easy to follow. Once again, I'll link to the flowchart below. If you check it out, you'll see that building an emergency fund is the first step on the flowchart after paying off basic living expenses and paying off any outstanding debt. So, who should have an emergency fund? The short answer is everyone. However, before you start building your fund, you must be debt-free. This is because in most cases, having debt is very expensive and paying it off first should be your priority. Once you're debt-free, you can start working on building up your emergency fund. I'll be making another video about paying off debts very soon. So other than being debt-free, there are no requirements for building an emergency fund. I personally think that everyone could benefit from having some easily accessible cash in case of an emergency. For example, you could use the money if you were self-employed and became ill and was unable to work for a period of time. Or maybe your car just dies one day and you've got some expensive repairs to pay for. So how much should you have in your fund? Well, it depends on everyone's individual circumstances. For some people, it might be 3 months worth of living expenses. For others, it might be a year. This will depend on a series of factors, such as your risk appetite, personal circumstances, job security, etc. For example, a freelancer might decide to have more money saved up than someone in a salaried job. I would recommend 3 months of basic living expenses as an absolute minimum. Once you reach that target, you can decide whether your finances will allow you to carry on building for 6 months or even 9 or 12 months of living expenses. I'm personally saving up for 12 months of expenses. In order to know what your essential living expenses are, that is, rent, bills, etc., I recommend you watch my 2 videos on tracking your spending, as I'll show you how to work out your average monthly expenditure. Once you know your average, times it by 3 or the number of months that you're trying to save. For example, if your living expenses are £800 a month, then a 3-month emergency fund would be £2,400. Once you know that this is your goal, you can decide how much you want to contribute to your fund each month. In this example, if you were to put aside £100 a month, it would take you 2 years to build up your minimum emergency fund. Now that you've decided how much you want to have in your emergency fund, where should you keep it? As I mentioned earlier, it needs to be somewhere that is free and instant access. Some savings accounts will require a 90-day notice before you can withdraw your money. And if you want it before that, you'll have to pay a penalty. So these are not suitable for us. In an emergency, you might need the money on the day. For the same reason, investing your emergency fund in stocks or property is a bad idea. So what we need is an instant access savings account that ideally pays the highest amount of interest possible. Obviously, with everything that's going on right now, interest rates are at an all-time low. So it's unlikely that you're going to find anything that's more than 1% and easy access. In any case, I would always recommend checking the Money Saving Expert website to find the most up-to-date information on the best savings accounts. Once you found a provider that you're happy with, put your money in there and rest easy knowing that you've got a safety net to fall back on should you ever need it. When I first started building my emergency fund, I originally had it with an online saver called Marcus, who at the time were offering 1.35% interest. Since then, their interest rate has dropped to around 0.7%, so I've decided to move my emergency fund to premium bonds. I'll be making a separate video very soon about what premium bonds are and why a record number of people have recently decided to invest in them. But what I can say is that premium bonds are easy access, and in the current circumstances, they are a great place to keep our emergency fund. To recap, it might be tempting to jump straight into investing once we have some spare cash lying around, rather than putting it into a boring savings account. However, for the reasons discussed in this video, having an easily accessible cash reserve is one of the most important aspects of personal finance and shouldn't be overlooked. If this video helped you get a better understanding of what an emergency fund is and why it's important to have one, make sure you click the like button. In the comments down below, let me know how many months of living expenses do you want to have saved up in your fund. I'm personally going for 12 months, but let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.